test match. India have won the series. They're going to get back for two. India home.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of the 81 All Out podcast. This is your host, Siddhartha Vaidyanathan, and I'm joined today by the regular crew, Mahesh, Ashoka, and Kartikeya. I'll link all their Twitter handles. Kartikeya writes a regular Substack, also writes articles once in a while for ESPN and Cricinfo. I'll put all that in when I link the podcast. Anyway, so we're here to discuss, talk about England's victory over India in the first test of the 5-test series. England won by 28 runs, and quite a remarkable win. Definitely one of the more remarkable wins for a team in India over the last decade and a half. We can even go back earlier, but to defeat this Indian team in these kind of conditions after conceding a first innings lead of 190, with a bowling attack that is really, really inexperienced, especially in these conditions. Hats off. A fantastic victory, sets up the series really well. I mean, it is even more remarkable because this is perhaps not even the most surprising test result of the day, which was the crown goes maybe to West Indies, who beat Australia at the Gabba a little earlier. But anyway, we will limit our discussion to this test in Hyderabad. Just have to say that it was just a fantastic test to watch all round. There was something in it for everybody. I mean, we saw some superlative spells, both fast bowling and from spin. We saw some fine innings and contrasting types of innings. You had Ollie Pope play what Ben Stokes has termed the best innings by a England batsman in the subcontinent, which is really, really, the bar is really, really high there. But great call. Great sort of innings there. But you also had the contrasting innings where there were batters who were trying to, be attritional, stay in there, be patient, stick to the basics and try and get it right. So fantastic pitch on which to play a game. It went 4 days, could have gone 5. I just want to add that it's also just watching tests like these, both the one at the Gabba and the one in Hyderabad, there is such a sort of affirming value to these tests. Simply for the following these games, anticipating it, building up the sense of what could happen, the uncertainty, but uncertainty in a good way. Like when you're watching cricket, there is uncertainty in a good way, where you expect things to happen, where you don't know how things will go. So it's sort of, there is a great joy in following cricket over 4 or 5 days and eventually seeing such fantastic finishes. So we can get to the big picture here. Definitely, as far as I remember, England's tour to India, this is one of the top wins for them. I mean, of course, they won in Chennai on the previous tour. They've won a series in India in 2012. They've done really well in India over the years. I mean, I would say compared to other teams, England have been very, very competitive in India. Apart from a few, I would say maybe a handful of tours, they've generally been very good. And in my memory, this is one of their fine wins. So let me bring everyone else in. Mahesh, maybe you can start off.
As you said, it's a fantastic win for England. And even before we reached the final day and the result and so on, I was quite impressed with the way they were pretty clear about the combination that they were playing. Usually when teams come to India, they don't take the drastic decision of just playing spinners and leaving out their fast bowlers and so on. I mean, these days it's becoming a bit of a trend. But to kind of back that data, to go into the test with 2 left-arm spinners who are, as Gideon has just written, who typically tend to do well in India. They attack the stumps a lot more. They bowl at the right pace. Even, Leach is a very good spinner, but we don't know much about Hartley, for instance. And then he got tanked around quite a bit when he started. And, on commentary, they were saying, Stokes is trying to reassure the bowler on his debut and so on. But I didn't see it as that. To be honest, it was still the better choice for him to go with. I mean, you can't bring Wood back in because Wood was not going to be particularly effective. Rehan, given that he's a leg spinner on debut, who doesn't bowl as fast, who doesn't have as much control, was a bit of a gamble anyway. And that proved to be the case. He didn't have much of a choice. They knew the combinations that they could go with given the resources that they had, and they stuck to it. I was impressed with that even in the first innings. Although you could argue that they didn't bowl particularly well and so on, but they had a very clear idea what they want to do. And even in terms of batting, for instance, they have over the course of last little more than 20 tests, they've established that trying to score faster has also helped them score more, and they've kind of stuck to the template, which is also impacted the way the bowlers coped up with it. But I think the big factor is the toss, and also like the Indian bowlers have typically not been that effective on wickets that offer slow turn. And even in this extraordinary era of home wins for India, that's always proven to be the case. So this is not. I mean, while I wouldn't have expected Ollie Pope to score 190 odd. England scoring 420 in the third innings was not out of bounds for me. Maybe Rowe would have scored or maybe somebody else would have scored. But on that kind of wicket, when the wicket was slowing down, to score against Ashwin and Jadeja wasn't the hardest. In the sense that if you had to score 420 against Ashwin and Jadeja, you wanted a wicket like that. And that's exactly how the wicket played out. I was still surprised that the amount of turn and bounce and variation they got on the fourth day. I mean, given the way the wicket played on the third day, I didn't expect it to do as much as it did. I mean, there were times when both the left-arm spinners, in fact, Leach was like half fit, were quite unplayable. But I don't know. I mean, it is an extraordinary win for England, but it's not something that would have been shocking. Like if we had done a preview, which we didn't do, I would have predicted a win for England for sure, perhaps 1 or 2 wins. If they play the right combinations, they certainly did. And, I don't know when we did this. A couple of series back when we did the preview, KD brought this point up that, this Indian test team is also aging, right? The peak is kind of slowly going behind them. KD, had this warning that you better get used to, losing and so on. I don't think it's going to be so dramatic. The post-peak of this Indian team is going to be like this. It's going to be a gradual dip from the peak, but I don't think it's going to go to a place where there should be extraordinary concern. I still think the team has enough quality coming through, and they'll be able to continue winning, but not at the same rate as they used to for the last 10 years. So perhaps that's also starting to play out, but it's too early to say. I mean, we missed Shami, we missed Kohli. That's actually the strength of this team, right? Even though we missed Kohli and Shami, that doesn't even figure as one of the reasons why India lost this test, because they still.
I mean, they were playing at home. That is number one. I mean, you have to factor that in. I think if India were playing in England, for instance, without Shami and Kohli, I think that would have been a little bit more of a talking point. But when you play at home, I think the depth, we almost take the depth for granted, right? With the Indian team. That is number one. Number two, you're right about the preview. Had we done a preview, we would have given England a good chance of winning a test and maybe even the first test. But I think the surprise comes from the 190-run lead that India had and the comeback that came after that, right? I mean, India have never lost a test at home after taking a 100-plus run lead. And Ashwin and Jadeja have never conceded that many runs in the second inning. So all that adds to the sort of...
but there are so many factors, right? It's also the way the wicket plays out. And Ashwin and Jadeja have also traditionally not been that good on slow turning wickets. Now, what typically happens on such wickets is that even the first innings is a little bit longer and it's a more flattish, big scoring match. But in this case, the first innings was not a big scoring innings, and that allowed India to consolidate.
Don't say Ashwin and Jadeja are not traditionally good at slow turning wickets.
No. I mean, not as good. Not even if you remember the Kanpur
as good as what? Yeah, Kanpur test. Yes.
I'm saying they came so close to winning. I mean, that's an extraordinary achievement to actually take 9 wickets on that wicket, against New Zealand. And if they let's say finish the test with 5 or 6 wickets and draw, that would have been par for the course. So we should celebrate that. But I don't know. I didn't see England scoring 420 as a surprise. What was a surprise for me is, perhaps given the way the wicket was playing on the second and third day, I expected it to kind of hold up pretty well on the fourth day. and I thought India would chase down. I was surprised with the sort of change in nature of the pitch so dramatically over the course of a night, practically. But that's also perhaps because England had the ideal resources to exploit those conditions, and India also, like as a team, doesn't play the sweep and the reverse sweep all that much. Rohit Sharma does in a couple of plays. I mean, we also missed Rishabh Pant, right? Who one is a left-hander and tends to whack these spinners out of the attack, so they lose their length and so on. I mean, we're talking about Shami and Kohli. We're completely dismissing the absence of Pant, who's been absent for a while. Yeah, that was a surprise for me. But again, like even we'll get to that later, but even this sort of narrative around sweep and reverse sweep, I have my suspicion. It's not like Indian teams in the past have swept well or something. It's not like these kind of conditions have not been given to visiting left-arm spinners before and so on. And even in the first innings, they didn't really play any differently. So sure, when everything is falling together, you would probably want to play the sweep and reverse sweep better. But these are also risky shots, and also these guys are much better players of spin, like in the traditional way. They can go on the front foot, go on the back foot. They can use the depth of the crease. I mean, Shreyas Iyer can pounce on the back foot like so quickly. I love watching him bat. Rahul batted very well. So I have my suspicion about this theory about Indians should have swept more and reverse swept more and learnt more from the way England approached and so on. I can't read too much into it, to be honest.
Okay, so to follow the meme that seems to be doing the rounds, let whatever Mahesh said, let it not hide the fact that Rohit Sharma bottled a test at home against England after 190 run lead. So let's keep that as well.
No, you started this podcast all wrong. You wanted to discuss England's win over India. I am here to discuss India's defeat against England, man. I am not here to discuss England's win. That there are many people who talk like 30 paragraphs over spirit of cricket. They'll discuss how great England are. I don't have any bandwidth to discuss all that. Let's discuss India's defeat. Who is the culprit? Of course, we know who the culprit is. When are we firing Rohit Sharma? That is the first question you have to ask. That is how you have to start the podcast.
Hasn't won a test in the last 3 tests at home. Let's get that clear. Yeah.
But see, if you have to defend Rohit Sharma, there is a good point, right? He lost the World Cup final at the Narendra Modi Stadium. He lost this test at Rajiv Gandhi Stadium. So at least he is fair. Like you can't accuse him of being a partisan captain.
He's neutral.
He's consistently bad across the entire spectrum. So that you have to give it to him. No, I guess there is some credence to the claim that Ashwin and Jadeja are slightly aging, man. I mean, there were, of course, English batsmen in the second innings took a lot of risks. But we guys were talking the entire time this test in our chats. And I remember saying at the beginning of day 3, when, Jadeja and Axar came out to bat, when India were like 420 for 7 something, the turn was very slow. So I was thinking that, dude, there is nothing much happening out of the pitch. The pitch was not like looking extremely dangerous. So England might have a chance to bat and bat long. So we may have to do, a 250-300 lead. But at that point in time, we were 7 down. So that was something that I noticed. Second thing, there is credence to the fact that these guys are aging. And the third thing is, even though they are aging, they are amazing spinners, amazing bowlers. And I think largely, even though this is a great inning from Ollie Pope, it has to be mentioned that he had a lot of luck. I mean, you can't be reverse sweeping Ashwin, Jadeja, and Axar off the pitch, and even reverse scooping them. In fact, you can't do those kind of shenanigans on most days and end up at 196. He ended up at 196, which is great for him, and it's a great achievement. That takes nothing away from it. But he took a lot of risks, and he was rewarded for it. And at that same point in time,
wasn't it similar to that? Remember, who was that guy? I'm forgetting his name. That Sri Lankan guy who took like some million chances and it came off in one goal.
Dinesh Chandimal. Similar type of innings.
Very similar.
In fact, he took even more chances actually.
Yeah, that was that was even more a dangerous pitch, man. I mean, he took like crazy amount of chances. This at least I'll give it to Pope. There was a measure of, control over what he did. He didn't willy-nilly try. I mean, he didn't do that Alex Carey thing from the last series. Just, close your eyes and reverse sweep from ball one or sweep from ball one. He didn't do that. He actually drove a lot of balls. He placed it in the gaps and all that. So, I mean, yeah, this was a very good innings. And also, along with Ollie Pope, I think Ben Foakes played really, really well. I was very, very impressed. And he is a very good batsman. I mean, for a very long time, when England were playing Bairstow and Josh Butler ahead of Ben Foakes, I was thinking somehow they should manage to squeeze in Ben Foakes in the 11th. I think he is a fantastic player. I still think he is. And his 34 was amazing. What really surprised me was this Rehan Ahmed and Tom Hartley, man. I didn't know. I thought they were bashers. I thought they would just, swing their bats. They actually did pretty well, considering they actually played decently. 230. I still thought 230 India could chase. I didn't know. I mean, ball suddenly started turning a lot. And
they bowled well. I mean, both Root and Hartley were very good, man. I mean, they hardly bowled a bad ball. If you see, Rehan Ahmed bowled a couple of bad balls and he got hit for it. I mean, more than a couple, actually. Yeah. But these two guys, where were the long hops? Where were the full tosses? I mean, they were really good throughout the innings.
Yeah. Hartley, especially Hartley's second innings was really quality bowling, man. It's like watching, it's a left-hand equivalent of Todd Murphy when he came to India. He was like, he had like terrific control. I didn't think he was that good from the first innings because, he bowled it a two-shot. He bowled a lot of full tosses in the first innings. I thought these guys are doomed. But I think Hartley is good, man. He's quality. He can bowl a lot of spells with good control. Maybe that was just initial jitters of Test match cricket or whatnot.
He did mention that he was bowling a bit quicker in the first innings, and how he sort of slowed it down a little bit in the second. That's what he said. I mean, of course, I haven't seen the speeds, but that's what he mentioned in the post-match thing. The other thing I want to mention before I get Karthikeyan is that a lot of talk around after this test is obviously, as usual, going to be about Bazball. But I'm glad you mentioned Foakes because I feel that England in this test came up with all gears of batting and they did it well. I mean, look at Ben Stokes in the first innings. He started off like, at one sort of the first gear. He kept going at the first gear, waiting for other people to score. And then he shifted to the fourth gear only much later. Same way, Ben Foakes, he was batting with Ollie Pope. It's not like Ben Foakes was also going blasting away at the other end. No, he was being he was batting really well. He was showing a lot of patience. So I feel that Bazball actually short sells England's batting sort of side. They have a wide variety of skill. They have a wide variety of batters. I mean, Bairstow, Root, Stokes, all of them can bat in different gears. So to just simply say Bazball, they're all attacking, it's like really selling them short. I think they were really good in the second innings across the gears.
Sort of agree with some of the points. But, I mean, come on, mostly it's one innings, man. Ashwin, Jadeja and Akshar, they took 13 for 350 against all England batters not named Ollie Pope. And Pope took 1 for 163 against them. So, I mean, the Indian spinners were better than the English spinners. It's just that this one guy had played the innings of his life, man. He survived 75 ball shots in the second innings. That's happened like once a batter has survived more than 75 ball shots in the last 12 years. In the database, there are 823 hundreds. And there's 100 of those. Out of those, there's one century, which is more than 75 ball shots.
In India or everywhere?
Everywhere.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So this is an outlier among outliers. And I mean,
Elgar scored like 57 fall shots last time. Right?
This is the third innings India have copped in the last 6 test matches they've played, in which the batter has survived at least 50 fall shots. And there are only about 30 of those innings in the last 12 years.
What could be the reason for this? This kind of misfortune. Maybe the captain is what I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's one. That's a good theory. I mean, yeah. I mean, who else can you blame? I mean, he's responsible one way or the other.
Whether not just him. There is a two-word phrase there to bring in Mumbai lobby. Okay, let's not forget the Mumbai lobby.
No. It's not just Mumbai lobby.
It's not a Mumbai lobby nowadays. Nowadays, it's different, man. It's Mumbai Indians lobby.
Anyway, but in all seriousness, what could be the reason apart from this?
I don't know. I have a few theories, but I don't know that I'm convinced entirely about any of them. I think let's use the sweep as a example, of why they're sweeping and what the point of the sweep is. I mean, at the outset, I think it's worth saying that any of these explanations which sort of imply or suggest that either the bowler or the batter in this situation is stupid or doing something dumb should be dismissed out of hand. These are test players; they're not doing something stupid. Okay, they're measuring trade-offs and they're taking chances, and none of them land up in the middle of a test match and decide to play a reverse sweep. All of the ones who play a reverse sweep in the middle of a test match have practiced it and cultivated it before trying it out in a match. Okay, I mean, so let's just set all that nonsense aside. I mean, what it does is, the spinners love to bowl as short as possible so that the batter is forced to come forward. The spinner's length is the shortest possible length, which forces the batsman to come forward. That's where the spinner wants to bowl. Now, that if you sweep that length, then you do two things. One is you might score some runs because the sweep is an attacking shot, and you rarely play a sweep, and if you middle it, you rarely score like just one, or you rarely score a dot ball. Now, what it does is that and Ashwin is the perfect example of this. Ashwin, his length is immaculate. Even in this match, his length was immaculate. Unlike Hartley, especially, and Rehan Ahmed, both of them, they overpitched quite often, they underpitched quite often. And then the fourth innings, the ball is really turning a lot more than it did in the first three innings. So, the pitch did wear on the fourth day. That let's set that aside. What happens when the batter is sweeping, and reverse sweeping, is that Ashwin is forced to bowl fuller. So he's forced to overpitch in the traditional sense because he wants to avoid being swept. And so what that does is it forces the bowler to not bowl as he wants to. It forces the bowler to try something different, and that's the point of trying to play a sweep shot. It's to sort of mess with the bowler's length. So there are sort of two sort of schools of thought. One is the wait for the bat ball school of thought in test match batting, and the other is Bazball. For the moment, let's say that those are the two types of. And then, in the first method, there are batters who have a much bigger range of shot than other batters. So, for example, Tendulkar has a much wider range of shots than Pujara, and has attacking shots to a larger range of line and length than Pujara does. So, Tendulkar is going to score quicker, assuming both are taking the same amount of risk. Right? So, what's happened in Bazball, I think, is, and I think in part, it's not just England. No, I mean, look at all the players who are coming through. Look at Travis Head, for instance. The guy scores fast. Look at Rohit Sharma, he scores fast. Yashasvi Jaiswal scored fast. Look at every England player who's coming through. Look at Devon Conway, also a free scoring batsman. Like you will not see like apart from Usman Khwaja, who's a little bit of a throwback. You will not see like a new batter in the using the method of, say, Mark Richardson, the New Zealand opener, or Cheteshwar Pujara, you'll not see that kind of player coming through right now. And I think that's because bowling attacks are such, and this World Test Championship is, incentivizing result pitches everywhere. And so teams are realizing that, they can't just have batters who are going to wait for the bat ball. They need batters who are going to take chances, who are going to be prepared to take chances, who are going to cultivate attacking shots, where, if a batter who has not practiced the reverse sweep or the sweep plays the sweep, then, they're very likely to get out. So very, very high risk. Even for Ollie Pope, it's a high risk, but it's probably not as much of a high risk shot as it is for like a batter who doesn't normally sweep. So that's something he's cultivated. That's something all of them have cultivated, actually. Bairstow, Stokes, Pope, even their tail-enders have cultivated the sweep shot. I mean, this is, if you want to know what Bazball is, what they actually do in practice, I think what they do is they practice attacking shots endlessly. Teams are choosing these types of players, attacking players, run-scoring players. You saw even like when India toured South Africa, Markram and South Africa stopper also, played their shots. Every team is playing their shots.
No. Hold on, KD. That theory is valid in South Africa because of the nature of the surface.
Yeah.
England do it as a matter of principle, irrespective of the surface. I'm not saying that they hit every ball for a 6 or a 4, but they take far more risks than any 11 in the last.
Go on.
Even if you say that they have practiced and all that, how sound is that fundamentally to Test cricket, where wickets are the premium, which is what makes bowlers the most, valuable commodity in Test, right?
When England's bowling is better than the opposition's bowling, it works. I mean, when it isn't, it doesn't really help them much. I mean, they're scoring a few more runs significantly more quickly than they used to. But that by itself doesn't win you a test match. No, what wins you a test match is being able to take 20 wickets. And there, I think what works in England's favor is that there are very few, roads nowadays. So every pitch is a result pitch. And England have some damn good bowling, man. I mean, especially their fast bowling is really good. I mean, now Broad has retired, but until he was there, I mean, they had like 3 or 4 really class bowlers to pick from. Even here now, they have Anderson and Robinson who they can pick. So, and as far as the spinners are concerned, it's an interesting thing. I mean, I think this is worth discussing, this Hartley thing, because Hartley's control is not that great. I think even Todd Murphy's control was better than Hartley. But Hartley has 2 things going for him. One is that he's very tall. And the second is that he turns the ball hard. And if there's one thing England have done when they pick their spinners, it is that they have always preferred spinners who try to spin the ball hard, even if they don't have the control, because they're picking spinners as attacking propositions. So that's why this whole thing, about the whole psychobabble nonsense about, Ben Stokes is trying to, encourage his bowler. He's trying to do this, trying to do that. That's not the point. No, I mean, Ben Stokes knows that his bowler is going to get attacked, and he knows that his bowler is going to overpitch, and he knows that his bowler is going to underpitch. But the bowler is there to take wickets. The bowler is there to bowl wicket-taking deliveries. So he'll put a fielder on the boundary and let Hartley bowl. This is different use of the spinner from what it would be in England. In England, the spinner is there to keep the runs down and give the fast bowlers a break from time to time. That's why a lot of English finger spinners, especially after Swan, who got their debuts in England, like Kerrigan, I think, was one spinner. They got hammered for 2 or 3 overs, and the captain took them off. And I mean, the captain had to take them off. I mean, this is not something unique to Ben Stokes. I mean, last tour, Jack Leach came to India, and I think his first 9 overs in the series went for 80 or something like that.
Yeah, Rishabh Pant went after him.
Yeah, but he didn't take him off. No, he kept him on because he has no choice. No, I mean that's why he's not there to keep the runs down. No, he's there to get wickets, get people out. And So it's a different role. I mean, and they know it. No, this is they. I mean, it's not like Tom Hartley starts bowling in a test match and suddenly Ben Stokes and all see, oh man, this guy's over pitching very often and under pitching very often. They know he does that, but that's okay. They're willing to live with that, and fine. No, I mean, it's a perfectly good idea.
Also, it would really help if you're a captain of a team trying to win a test match to avoid discouraging players. Like really get in their face and shout obscenities at them.
Yeah, who's going to do that?
Who does that, by the way?
Where has anybody done that? The batter's there to score runs and the bowler's there to get the batter out, right? So the sweep is a calculated risk. Like everything else, it's a calculated risk. It's not. What I found striking was that Stokes and Bairstow and Root were not playing that way. I thought that they would be like the what is it? The holy trinity of Bazball. They would be the ones who would sort of come in and try to hit the bowler off his length like immediately, and they didn't try to do it in both innings. Whereas Duckett, I think because he's playing against the new ball, in those first 10-12 overs when the ball isn't really gripping yet, they have a better chance of doing it. So
no, let me just put it this way. In the second innings, when Ashwin got Ben Stokes out, right?
Yeah.
There was a period in which Ben Stokes was not scoring. I mean, he was just defending almost every ball.
Yeah.
And the ball that got him out was actually pretty much a half volley length ball.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked like a great ball because Ben Stokes basically went to defend it. It spun past the edge and it got off stump.
Yeah.
But if Ben Stokes was coming down, to the pitch of it, he could have probably hammered it for 6.
What? So, and you can say then Bairstow could have hammered Akshar for 6, no, in the first innings. It's not a beauty at all.
No, that ball was not a half volley. But even if he got to the pitch of it, it's not. That's a different ball that I'm talking about. The Stokes ball, had he played forward, was a ball that he would have got runs with, right?
He was playing forward, man. It was forward press defense. No, what?
Yeah, but not forward like the way you would get to actually get forward to the pitch is what I mean. So that makes a difference. No, like if a batter is in that defensive shell, a bowler bowls differently compared to when he's like sweeping and reverse sweeping.
No, but that is always the attempt. No, the idea of playing a shot is that. The idea of playing. This sweep is an interesting story. It's not a. England has been sweeping for a long time. This came under like Nazir Hussain and Duncan Fletcher, right? They said, we don't have the technique to bat the way that the subcontinent players do. So we're going to rely on sweep to score a lot of runs. But even before, Graham Gooch used to sweep a lot. So this is a very English obsession around sweeps. And it's been going on for a long time. And now they also play the reverse sweeps and the switch hits far better. And I think it was Gideon who mentioned, right? But if you look at Root, he doesn't play like that, right? The reason why, what's his name? The opener?
Duckett.
Yeah, the reason why Duckett plays it is very obvious. He's not going to survive playing conventionally, against Ashwin for long. I mean, he's got a limited time. And they're
like in the first innings.
Yeah.
Like in the first innings, he got LBW. Yeah.
Yeah, you got a few overs against Ashwin. You're better off taking chances against him, right? See, the whole argument about England's approach versus India's approach is that even in England, only those players who will otherwise not play a long innings are the ones who are taking these chances. Even Ollie Pope, Ashwin used to have his number, right? He got him over the wicket.
No. The Root has been taking plenty of chances in the last year or two. I mean, in this whole Stokes
chances period. I mean, okay, he's playing more aggressively, taking more chances, playing the reverse scoops, all that is fine. But Root is an excellent player of spin. He can play the sweep because he wants to, but he doesn't have to. He's got other shots. He can, go forward, go back, cut, pull, drive, flick. But the other players have a limited range of shots, and they have to maximize their time in the crease because they know that that's limited. So they're trying to score as much as is possible. And we are taking a test in which a lot of things worked out well for them, right?
Yeah,
That's the
but
point.
come on, the sweep is not like some poor cousin, of the better cricket shots. I mean,
No,
this
no,
is
I'm not
like,
saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. Please don't get me wrong. Let's say, Rohit Sharma playing sweep versus Kohli playing sweep is not the same, because Kohli doesn't sweep as much as Rohit Sharma does. Pujara doesn't sweep at all, right? For Rohit Sharma, it's a good shot because he plays it. For Pujara to invent that shot out of nowhere, because in this match,
Yeah, but-
I saw 4 other batsmen playing sweep, so I must play sweep. Then it becomes a poor cousin of a good stroke for him.
Yeah. So, I mean, England have cultivated the sweep. That's what Bazball is, no? The cultivation of scoring shots.
No, but England have cultivated it like for a long time. I mean, even until
Yeah, but
Fletcher
over
and
here
Hurst and
they've
these-
sort of they're very good at it. I mean, this is not. I mean, they've spent 2 weeks in Abu Dhabi. They probably, each of them has probably hit 1,000 sweep shots in that time. And
Okay, let's put it this way: Duckett playing a sweep is not just because he's exceptional at sweep. It's also because he senses. I mean, he also gave an interview, right? I'm sure Ashwin is going to come after me, but I'm not going to die wondering. There is a very clear risk reward here, where he says that I know sweep is risky, and I'm going to play disproportionately higher number of sweeps to balls that I should not be, but I back myself to score more runs this way than otherwise. So in his case, it's not. I wouldn't call it an advantage, but one of the things of being a visiting team in India is that you have a limited range of possibilities in which you can win, right? And then you also know your limitations. Then you kind of focus on how to optimize what you have, right? Which makes life a little easier, because you only have to focus on a few things. Okay, Duckett, I'll sweep.
But which team these days doesn't do that, man? Every team does that. I mean, it's not like it's not I mean, this is not. It's not news that players have to cultivate more scoring shots if they want to learn, if they want to score more runs. Because and the bowlers are also learning that the players are cultivating scoring shots. So what I'm interested in seeing is what the bowlers do in response to this. If a team is bowled out cheaply, then that's a really obvious thing. Like, people notice it. That's happened. Like, a team has been bowled out for less than 100 42 times since the start of 2012 in a test match. Okay. And what is the number of fall shots that a batter has survived at least 42 times? What is the 42 highest number of fall shots that a batter has survived? Can you take a guess what the number will be?
I don't
No
know,
idea.
50.
53. So basically, Pope surviving 75 fall shots is as much of an outlier as India being bowled out for 36. It's that kind of outlier. So
Okay, I have a question for you here, which I wanted to ask earlier as well. I know you will hate this because other people have asked this in variety of ways, and I know your answer for this. But let me try one more time. But it's not the same point as others are making. Are false shots equal when you compare across different conditions? Like inducing, let's say, a plain miss in Headingley or an edge in Headingley, as compared to a wicket where there's a lot of variable bounce. And like, it's very difficult to time a ball on a wicket which is slow and low, right? So the lack of timing in itself is a false shot in a way, right? Isn't there the likelihood of more false shot per wicket being the norm on a wicket like this?
Well, no, because if that was the case, a lot of batters would be close to 75, no? But no other English batters survived more than
75 is an exception. But what will be the median? Let's say if we can standardize a wicket like the Hyderabad wicket.
Yeah, it's within. So if you look at country by venue, it's with the false shots are within like 5 to 8% of each other in all countries. The survival rates per false shots per dismissal. It's not like, I mean, people imagine this difference to be something like one guy's surviving 8 false shots per dismissal and some guys surviving 60 false shots per dismissal or 25 false shots per dismissal by design. It's not like that. I mean, all the batters from 2012 to 2024, if you take all the batters, then all of them survive between 9 and 14 false shots. I mean, Pujara survives a lot more false shots per dismissal than Kohli. But Pujara also scores fewer runs per false shot than Kohli, because he attacks less. So there is something in the record where there are things which you would expect, which you see in the record. For example, a ball which is on the stumps, if you play a false shot to that ball, your survival rate is much lower than if you play a false shot to a ball which is not on the stumps. But what happens because of this is that false shots are played more often to balls which are not on the stumps. So than they are to play or to balls which are on the stumps. Because batters are much more careful when the ball is on the stumps. They tend to play much later. They tend to not go hard at the ball as much.
So you're saying like.
So my follow-up question is when Shami was unlucky in England, or Ishant Sharma used to be the unlucky bowler for a long time. One of the arguments against that was, they bowl well, they consistently beat the edge. But the reason why they're unlucky is perhaps they're not aggressive enough. They don't bowl full enough to get the wickets. I'm not sure how much I buy into this. I'm just saying that I can at least see the logic in that you could be extremely effective in creating false shots by bowling just a wee bit shorter. But if you bowl a little bit fuller, you perhaps go for more runs, but you'll also get more wickets, right? Similarly, if I were to, let's say if I am Ashwin or I'm a Jadeja, I see this. 3 out of the last 6 tests you said, right? How many outlier false shots we've had, India has had?
Elgar, Head and Pope.
Elgar, Head and Hope, right? Pope. So, is there something to be drawn from this? Is there, like, if I'm a bowling attack, let's say you're part of the management or whatever, if somebody comes and asks you, is there something to be read into this, or you just put your hands up and say...
They already do know. I think Akshar did it, Kohli did it. Go to some temple, pray, man. What will you do if luck is not there?
No, that's my question. Do you just simply label all of them as luck? Or, for instance, like KD said, if the probability of a false shot resulting in a dismissal is higher when you're bowling straighter, is there something to be dug into this? Could you argue
India
that?
are bowling straighter. No, India, I mean, Ashwin and Jadeja and Akshar did hit the stumps more often than the English bowlers. I mean, Jack Leach has an advantage in that he's short and he has a lower release, so he can hit the stumps from a slightly wider range of lengths than Ashwin or Jadeja, and especially Akshar. But the 3 Indian spinners make up for it by being extremely accurate. I mean, and this pitch did have a lot of bounce. I mean, it was not what they classically describe as a slow and low pitch. It was a slow pitch, but it was not a slow and low pitch. And it was a new ball pitch. I mean, the first 40 overs of the match, even though, you expect that the better batters are batting in the first 40 overs of the innings, each innings. I think the batting average for the first 40 overs is like 33. Whereas the batting average for overs 40 through 80 is like 50 or something like that. It's 9 for 446. Yeah, so 50. So when the ball got soft, batting did get easier. I mean, you saw, even Ashwin and Bharat had a stand today, even though the ball was turning so much more today than it was, in the first 3 innings. I mean, India turned the ball more in the first innings than England did in the second innings. And
my more fundamental question about these false shots is, okay, he had 75 false shots in an innings of 196. But is there anything to suggest that as an innings progresses, a batter's gauge of risk and calibration of risk improves? And
yeah, it does.
It does?
Yeah. I mean, a set batter is going to play false shots less often than a new batter. But
if you plot a graph, then is there a clustering of false shots?
Oh, okay, wait. Before that, then if this is true, a set batter plays less false shots than, say, a new batter, then we have our match ka mujrims. No, we have Shreyas Iyer, we have KL Rahul, we have Rohit Sharma, we have Gill.
Then a batter can never get out after getting 50, man. I mean, then that's he's a mujrim. whenever he gets out, he's a butron.
No, I mean,
Now, how you get out?
how you
It's not
get
even a
out?
false shot. This is like the unforced error.
You just whack one middle of the pitch ball straight to the only fielder in the deep, and you call that false shot, and you take away all the blame of that shot, right?
No, I mean you can call it a poor shot or a poor judgment. I mean, I'm guessing.
I'm calling it. We should call these shots as fireable offense shots.
Sackable.
Yeah, sackable shots. Like 4 people have done this and taken a 600 plus score into the 430 region, brought England back into the game, right? But these, what will be talked about is these false shots and what Ashwin should do better. Why should Ashwin do any better, man? He has taken 495 wickets in 95 Tests, man. How many people have done that? Nobody has done that. But this Rohit Sharma
run lead, dude. They gave you a 190 run lead. Okay. On top of that, you want them to continue batting. Now, what are you saying, man?
No, but what makes you think 190 is good enough? They could have actually made more, right? I mean, to be fair, I mean,
this is what Steve Waugh thought. This is what Steve Waugh thought in 2001. Arrogance of Steve Waugh. He said, "Okay, these guys have only made 200 or 165. We will get them out." And then they made 600 runs. We should never let opposition into the game, man. You never know. You guys lack intent. That's the problem. Indians.
No. See,
Virat Kohli had the tiger instinct, the killer instinct.
Killer instinct.
Yeah, killer. He will come back. The tiger will come back. Don't worry. Tiger zinda hai. So I want to ask you. No, I'm trying to understand. Okay, when you describe Ollie Pope's first innings knock, okay, and when you describe his second innings knock, I'm wondering, like, is there a manner in which he has calibrated the risk better in the second innings than in the first? Or do we just say it is just a matter of luck?
Ball didn't turn as fast.
Yeah.
No, it's a matter of luck. No, he did get out to an early mistake in the second innings. And the point is the record.
First innings.
I've looked into this. It's that batters play false shots less often once they get set, quote unquote. Right. So in the first 10, 20 balls, if they're playing a false shot every 3 or 4 balls, then in the 80th or 90th ball, they're probably doing it every 7 or 8 balls. You know, that's so low. And then it sort of plateaus out. You know, it stays at like 8, something like that. You know, until they get really set, and then they get to play part-timers when they're past 100 or something. And then, you know, they play even fewer false shots. But counting all that, Pope has played a false shot every 3.7 balls in this innings. But the point is that in the innings where a batter makes more than 50, the batter is not playing those first 10 or 20 balls better than the batter is in innings where the batter is getting out cheaply. So the batter is not playing better when they get a bigger score than when they don't get a bigger score.
You mean he's not starting better when he gets a bigger score than when he's starting and falls for a low score?
Yeah. Okay, so, okay. I mean, that actually surprised me. I did not expect to see that.
Simplify this. I didn't get it. Simplify this.
So suppose you have a batter, you take 10 innings from the last 12 years for which we have records, in which, and you select like 10 random innings in which a batter scored out of the ones where a batter scored at least 50.
Okay.
And in those innings, you look at how many false shots the batter played of the first 20 balls.
Okay.
And then you take 10 random innings from the set from the last 12 years where the innings has lasted, say, 30 balls.
Okay.
And the batter is dismissed to like around the 30th ball.
Okay.
And you look at the number of false shots the batter has played in the first 20 balls in those.
Right.
So the frequency of false shots is the same for the first 20 balls in both cases.
Correct. So everybody starts shakily.
Yeah.
But if you remain, not out for a certain number of balls, in which case
you survive. Yeah. But the point is, what it says is that batters are not necessarily playing better on the days when they score more runs.
No, that was never my point. My point is, by following your example where you say that everybody starts shakily, but over a course of time that false shots reduce, then that means KL Rahul, Shreyas Iyer, Rohit Sharma, Shubman Gill.
Look, in the
Not
first inning,
Shubman Gill. What Shubman Gill?
in the first
Shubman Gill
innings,
flicked it, man. After 65 balls, he just gave one in the hand. What nonsense shot
there was
that was.
one fielder at mid-wicket and he hit that fielder, man.
Yeah,
Couldn't miss.
Laddu. These guys are hitting Laddu shots to.
Those are unforced errors. That's fair enough. I mean, we are not saying that they're not. They are unforced errors.
I am saying, you guys are not saying. I am saying these guys must not play a test ever again in their life, man.
Yeah. I mean, you want to throw them in the ocean.
He wants
That is the
accountability.
difference.
What?
Yeah.
I've been.
Sorry, Katie, I have to ask you this.
Hold on 1 second. We are not. I mean, we are not acknowledging the fact that India lost a test in India against England with a bowling attack of some guy called Hartley and some other guy called Rehan Ahmed, who have played one test between them, and that test was not in India. And Jack Leach was their main
with a
baller.
bowling attack that did not have one guy because of visa issues. That also you have to add.
And one guy who are the main spinner who got injured, and their main batter bowled 50 overs nearly, and we guys lost it. I mean, there is no sense of outrage on this podcast. These guys are talking about false shots. What nonsense! Fire everybody, man.
England have also won a test in India with Sean Newdale as their main spinner. Let's just remind.
No, don't go back to that. We're talking about Virat Kohli. Virat Kohli is India boss.
Virat Kohli's India didn't lose anything, I think.
Hey, Virat Kohli.
In the last 3 home tests, Rohit Sharma has lost 2 tests and drawn 1 test. Should he still be
you
the
have to
captain?
answer us. You have to tell that. Why you're asking us? Let's just put it this way. At a bureaucratic level, right? Simply at the level of, say, the team management and the decisions and how they convey things to the players, I think Bazball is also about the fact that Ben Duckett does not worry that he will be dropped if he plays a switch hit at any point. I mean, there is that aspect to it, right? I mean, maybe there was an opener 5 years ago who played the switch hit and who was worrying that he will be dropped for doing that.
Yeah, but in the England system, I think McCullum is a selector now. The head coach is also one of the selectors.
Yeah, so I'm saying Bazball is also probably works at the bureaucratic level rather than, what it is made out to be.
It's definitely an approach which they have, decided to pursue. What surprises me is that they haven't really gone back to Josh Butler even after adopting Bazball. It's still always been Bairstow folks.
Yeah, I mean...
No, but I have a point to make here. This is good. This is all fine, right? Under Bazball, Duckett has the liberty to go whatever. But it can also be counterproductive, right? You could have a batsman like, Sibley or someone, right, who prefers to play in a particular style.
Lees. There was one guy, Lees. Remember, he was opening.
Alex Lees.
Yeah,
Alex
I'm saying like somebody who's very, very defensive. And it could also be counterproductive, right? If you add a weightage to the style of batting, it's going to be more fair to somebody than others. And also to give credit to that, and they deserve credit, but to give credit to that is kind of alluding to the fact that in other teams it doesn't work. But in India, Pant can play the way he wants. Sehwag always played the way he wanted. They were never penalized for the way they played.
Oh, yeah. Even Jaiswal pretty much plays, is an attacking player. Yeah.
If anything, this is more democratic, right? Pant can play the way he wants. Pujara could play the way he wanted. I'm just saying that I don't want to read too much into that because every team has a vision and like...
Yeah, but I think generally in test teams, it's not really been the case that, this whole business of, you played an irresponsible shot, you should now be dropped. That all ended in the 80s, man. Even India had not done it. I mean, England still, even back in the day, when Duncan Fletcher was all big on like 2 skilled players and Nasir Hussain was, doing, I mean, they're not stupid. They can see like a really gifted player. I mean, Marcus Trescothick did everything wrong, as an England.
Are you trying to say the reason why we have not seen players like do what Pope did in this test, doing that sort of reverse scoop that he was playing for this thing, is because they were not practiced that shot?
Yeah.
You mean to say that if somebody played that shot and got out, it wouldn't have been an outrage?
No, but that depends. No, I mean, he's playing it after basically, practicing it in the team's practice sessions, supervised by his coaches. No, so they can't really blame him for getting out if he does. No.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. That is also part of Bazball. It is also part of the fact that.
Oh, of course it is.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm saying it's not just about, it's wrong to just call it players go out and attack. I think it's like what you're saying, the range of strokes and everybody being aware of the risks that are being taken. So, yeah, that's fair
I
to
mean,
them.
look, even in the Bazball era, like if you take the whole, since June 1st, 2022, I mean, Zach Crawley is still averaging 33, which is pretty much what he was averaging before. So, and Joe Root
No,
is still
no.
averaging 50, which he was averaging before. And
So,
Ben Stokes is still averaging 37, which he was averaging before. And Ollie Pope is still averaging 40, which he was averaging before. So it's not like the averages are improved. I mean, yeah. I mean, Harry Brook and Bairstow have been in really good form. So they've had like a purple run. But to be fair, Bairstow's purple run preceded Bazball. I mean, he made a comeback and made a century at Sydney in the 2021-22 Ashes, and then he made a century in the West Indies in a series that England lost. And he's always been a fast scoring player. So for him, it was a slight jump. So I mean, it's not like it's not. I mean, England are a good side. Yeah. I mean, England have good players, and they're going to keep winning. I mean, I think the sort of their pre-Bazball era, no, I think they got worn down because they went on the first they came to India on a really what was a really difficult tour, and then within a few months they went to Australia on what was another very difficult tour, and they got blown away in both places. It is not clear that in the Bazball era that won't happen again. All the other places they're playing well. I mean, West Indies, they haven't been winning for years. So they didn't. I don't know if they'll win now. Also, they might. So it's not like there's a whole sort of narrative of revolution. And I think it's not really that. I mean, what they do have is they have first of all, I think they have a guy who's their captain who really wants to do the job. I mean that I think is always the key sort of essential quality that a captain should have. The captain should want to do the job, and I think Ben Stokes definitely wants to do the job, and I think he wanted to do the job because he wanted to play a certain way. And so and then in Robert Key, he found a guy who's okay with it, who said, okay, let's try this out. And in Brendan McCullum, he found a head coach who also said, okay, let's try this out. And it's all come together nicely for them. But and it's also coincided with a period where they found Ollie Robinson, and where they found where Broad and Anderson have still been around for them, and so on. And they went to a Pakistan where Pakistan's bowlers were mostly injured, and even that was like a deceptively close series, even though it was 3-0. So I think the Bazball has been a small change in the way England play, but it's not been as much of a like this, people say, oh, this is a revolution, this is chalk and cheese and this and that. No, it's not. I don't think it is. I mean, England did score like under 4 and over in the first innings and just barely over 4 and over here. And India also scored at roughly 4 and over in the first innings. So
yeah. My biggest frustration about the whole way the English press describes Bazball is that they don't make an effort to actually sort of understand and describe what is going on, or
but
sort of
who
even
does,
define.
Man? Look at.
True.
I've been listening to I have not listened to a word of commentary. But you get to listen to what commentators are saying, and what commentators come on Twitter and say stuff, and other people come on Twitter and say stuff, and it's all about oh, there's this pressure, and there's that pressure, and this and that, there's scoreboard pressure, and this and that, and it's all about it's as if there are 22 people there who have no bodies, no physique, there's no physical activity going on. It's all like mind reading and mental activity going on the pitch. And that's like, I think that's mainly because the language to describe batting and bowling doesn't really exist. I mean, why is Ashwin over pitching? You have to think about that.
But before we wrap up, We have spoken.
No, I want to go back to the Ollie Pope thing. So, sorry, because KD was going on a long point about Bazball. So, I mean, for Ollie Pope to play that shot, I mean, you mentioned that, okay, what about an Indian player playing like that? I mean, the guy has had no success in India. He's played 9 innings before, including the first innings here. 8 innings before that. His highest score is 34. His methods are not working. He had to do something, right? Whereas that's not the case with Indian players. Their methods are working. They don't have to find something new.
That's true. Like Ollie Pope in England, for instance, probably will not need to play this shot because he has enough shots in England for him to make 100.
Hey, if their methods are working, why did they hit everything out into the fielder's hands, man? Tell me that.
Are you talking about first innings or second innings?
That is more
first innings.
It just shows their methods are working. They're just not hitting it in the right spots. That's all.
Okay, one thing, Sibi, before we leave, you have we have to talk about Bumrah, man.
Yeah. That's what I was coming to. I was coming to that. In fact, that would have been the spell I would have wanted to start this podcast with, except these fellows went and did some historic thing and won the test match. So otherwise, in normal circumstances, if India were true to their home test record, and if they had actually won this test, yeah, I mean, that would have been the spell of the test for me. I mean, that was just like an extraordinary spell. I mean, we have seen Bumrah for so many years. We've seen him bowl across like Australia, West Indies. I mean, these are all like, once in a lifetime kind of spells, right? I mean, we've spoken about the West Indies series where he went and just blew that whole team away. And that whole team, which is actually not bad, as we have seen subsequently. Then he went, he has spells in England, South Africa, everywhere. But then there was something about this particular spell. I mean, it's still, to be fair, it's his 5th test in India. He's still a young bowler when it comes to bowling in India, despite all the other IPL and everything else that he has bowled, first class, everything. He's still in his 5th test in India. And on that pitch, with that ball, the soft ball, to generate that reverse swing and to sort of get the late movement going, to then come out with the kind of the little shifts that he was doing throughout that spell, the slower balls that were coming through, the late movement that was coming through, the way the batters had to adjust to where they were even standing to him, it was just unbelievable. I mean, forget the wickets. I mean, the wickets are, of course, you'll see it like in highlights, they keep showing that ducket dismissal and the root dismissal. But just the way that spell progressed, the ball after ball of that level of anticipation to seeing Bumrah, it was just stunning. I mean, I would even go to the extent of saying that's like one of the happiest I've felt watching Bumrah bowl. So yeah, what do you guys think?
It's a great bowler. I mean, I think from the start of the series, I thought that India will need him in this series. I mean, actually, India will need both him and Shami in this series. If they want to really make sure they win the remaining 4 test matches. He's a great bowler, man. The thing is, he can do so many things with the ball, and he has such good control also. It's one thing to have a lot of control. It's another thing to have that control while doing so many things with the ball.
Even in the first innings, even on the first morning, actually, could have had like 4 wickets, man. I mean, he was cutting those batters in half on that first morning in that first spell. I mean, it just happened that he didn't get the wicket. But yeah, I mean, first morning, new ball, then the old ball. I mean, he had a couple of subsequent spells as well. But yeah, he's such a versatile bowler to have. And then you saw, like I think I was mentioning in the chat, right? So when Bumrah was bowling that spell, Siraj also came on. And Siraj is a fabulous bowler. And especially in India, Siraj is a fantastic bowler. I mean, any team will love to have a bowler like Siraj. But you just saw the notch, two notches above which Bumrah was operating in that particular phase. It was just sensational.
I mean, there's nobody like Bumrah, man. We have not had a bowler like Bumrah in our history, and I don't think we'll have someone like him for a long time. And we still do not know how good he is. It's like, we've seen him for so long, and he still keeps surprising us. And he's still, and I mentioned this, not even jokingly, I was fully serious on the chat when I said he's like half Akram, half McGrath, right? I mean, that's exactly what KD was saying, that he's got so much control, and he's still got so much skills and so much variety, and he can try so much without leaking runs. I mean, it's okay to bowl like like Dale Steyn or Waqar Younis or even Mitchell Stark, for instance, right? They're great bowlers to watch, but they also leak runs. On bad days they go for a lot of runs, but Bumrah is able to not go attack with a wide variety of choices and still not go for runs. And he barely misses a slow ball. Every time he bowls a slow ball, it goes exactly where he wants it to.
There is that Bharat Arun podcast that we interviewed Bharat Arun, I can post it, where he said that, one of the things to do is first, for a fast bowler, is to first warm up. But then the next thing that you do when you actually start practice is that you have that 5-6 over spell where you simulate a match situation. So I can bet that Jasprit Bumrah has basically simulated this soft ball, flat pitch, reverse swing situation with that ball of that age and bowled like that to either an Indian batter or to a state batter multiple times before. I mean, more than multiple, many times before.
Oh, but he gave an interview, recently to Ali Martin. In the Guardian. He said, in that interview that, I learned how to take wickets bowling for Gujarat in the Ranji Trophy. That's where he said, that's where I learned how to bowl. That's where I learned how the art of taking wickets. But look, these guys are doing net practice, 3-hour net sessions and all, and they show like a 2-minute video on YouTube or whatever.
That's all for click farming.
2 hours and 58 minutes worth of practice which they're not showing. So they must be doing something, no? They must be working on something. They must be preparing something. These guys, and some of this is pretty intense, you just look at the number of times batters are get injured batting in the net. Even in the lead up to this match, this guy, Shreyas Iyer, he got hit on the forearm in the net, and he had to stop. He couldn't continue his practice. So they're not just rolling the arm. It's not a... It is as serious as a test match. It is as competitive as a test match when they're in practice. And you heard these stories if you really go through these books. But they appear in these such weird contexts. For example, I always think of this story. Kim Hughes in the early 80s when he was Australian captain, and he was not a favorite of the proper cricket,
Chappell and
the proper cricket men of the old times, Lilly and Chappell and Marsh and that generation. And there's this whole story about, Lilly used to bowl at Hughes in the nets, and Lilly used to really let rip at him, just give him the short stuff, basically, try to bounce him out, try to hit him, basically.
Try to basically knock his head off.
And Hughes used to hook and endlessly go for the shot. And it was basically a fight. It was basically a grudge match kind of in the net between them. But this was all sort of played up not as a sort of a measure of how serious the practice was. It was played up as a sort of a personality contest. But it's not, no. I'm sure
it perhaps was, but that is, you're saying that is incidental.
Yeah, that's part of the game. No, it's they have disagreements because they think differently about how to win. No, they're competitors.
If that logic is true, then Lilly must have been bowling dollies to Chappells and Marsh, right, in the nets.
No, I'm sure.
Which Chappell will also deny.
I'm sure he tried to murder them also.
That's not. This is true. That should not be true, right?
Essentially, what you're simulating real match situations, right?
Yeah, man. When Ashwin
happens in a match.
When Ashwin bowls to Pujara, Kohli in the nets, he's trying to get them out, man. You can be sure that they have a private ledger in which they keep records. Very deadly serious stuff.
And Viv Richards has, back then spoken about how, playing against Barbados in the Shell Shield was even more difficult than playing international cricket because you had Marshall and Garner and everybody else trying to kill you, man. So
Obviously, they want to win, no?
The fact that Bumrah can bowl that ball that he bowled to Ryan Ahmed, which is basically an exceptionally like that quick off spinner that he bowled to him in the first innings. I mean, it was like a slow ball, but that just cut sharply and got the inside edge and got him out. And the fact that he could bowl the ball to Duckett or to Pope, I mean, to Root and to everybody else that he bowled to. I mean, the sheer range of deliveries he's not only does he have, but he's also mastered enough to be able to pitch it at the right spot and to then make it like deviate the way he like either he expects or give it a chance to deviate the way it does. It's phenomenal, man. I mean, this is like Wasim Akram used to perhaps do that, the way I have seen back when in Akram's heyday. But it's very, very rare to find a bowler to have the range and this control over what he's actually getting through.
It's a ridiculous range. No? See, you take any great fast bowler, there are exceptions. I mean, Marshall is an extraordinary exception. But usually you can bucket them, right? Largely they are seam bowlers and swing bowlers and like they don't bowl too many Yorkers or they don't bowl too many bouncers and whatever, right? But Bumrah covers the entire range. And he's very, very good at it. And when he swings, McGraw also swung the ball occasionally, but he was not a good swing bowler. But this guy could swing the ball. And he could hit the seam. I mean, not as consistently as and as beautifully as Shami does. But it is very difficult to box him as one type of bowler. And he's able to do that without leaking runs.
I mean, come on. In a test match where everybody scored at 4 and over, Bumrah took 6 for 69 in 25 overs. Okay. So, and like this is not a fast bowler's pitch. Okay. Both teams played 3 spinners here.
I mean, we saw Mark bowling on this pitch. We saw Siraj bowling on this pitch, right?
Yeah,
you saw the difference. And Mark Wood is a sensational bowler, honest.
And he's doing this against Bazball, where, the guy is basically, if he pitches it in the batsman's half, like 3/4 of the England team is going to try and hit him over mid-off for 4. Okay. So, he's an extraordinary bowler. Let's not make any bones about it. I mean, he is sui generis, as they say. He is unique. He is not like anybody else. He is truly an original. I mean, it's like he's an original in the way that Lara was an original as a batsman, and like the way Vaughan was an original as a bowler. Like the really, really, really great players are not like any player who's gone before. They make a new a new sort of template. They create a new template, and that's actually one of the reasons why Bazball is such an attractive thing, especially in England. I mean, we like to make fun of them, and to be perfectly honest, I think they deserve some of the fun everybody makes of them, and some of the fun is also down to partisanship, but Bazball is sort of, in a lot of ways, like a lot of teams must have thought of this before. They must have said that, okay, what if we took more risks? We'll get out more quickly, but we'll also score quicker. Will we come out ahead in the bargain? A lot of teams must have thought of this. And England have actually gone and done it, because it is a very, very different way of at least thinking about it compared to what is in the discourse. What is in the discourse is what score risk-free runs, accumulate runs in a risk-free fashion, So this is what happens because what is the norm? The norm is that when Shubman Gill tries to hammer a half volley on leg stump over mid-wicket and hits mid-wicket, then because he hit mid-wicket, it's a bad shot, because why do you have to play it in the air? This is what people ask after he gets out. But if the ball sort of flies over mid-wicket and goes for 4, then people say, "Arey, wow. Risk-free, calculated shot." No, it's not. No, it's but this way of sort of post hoc, not even assessing merit. It is like you decide how good something is based on what outcome occurred in that instance. That is absolutely mainstream cricket discussion. That is how cricket has been understood my whole life.
Actually, it was surprising for me to read, after that day when Bumrah bowled that great spell, Atherton wrote a piece where he said that Bumrah's spell shows that England should have picked Anderson. But now, what's he going to say tomorrow? Because had England picked Anderson, they would have probably left out. I mean, what if they had left out Hartley? So then what?
No, I don't. Look, I think England are never not going to pick two slow left-arm orthodox bowlers. India have 5 right-handers in their top 7, and in India, slow left-arm orthodox to right-hand bat is the most advantageous matchup for a visiting bowling side in a test match. So
they would have. You're saying
they would have probably dropped Rehan.
They would have dropped the leg spinner.
Yeah. Anyway, so yes, I am completely out of time now. I need to go, but thank you so much for joining. This was a fine test to watch. Fine week fine few days for Test cricket, and we will join you at the end of the second test. Promises to be a fascinating one. If it is anywhere as gripping and exciting as this, I'm sure we'll have a fine contest that we can watch, and we will be there to discuss it with you. Thank you. 81allout.com is our website. At 81allout is our handle on X. And we also have books that we have republished. I'll give links to all of them. And I'll also give links to other articles that we have discussed. Thank you, and keep listening, and we'll see you soon.
India have won the series. They're going to get back for 2. India